Hello, I'm Mafê Luvizotto, and I'm so happy to receive the jazz singer Madeleine Peyroux at Eldorado Radio Studio. She's here in Brazil to perform in different cities around the country, especially to play tracks from the album Anthem, released last year. Welcome, it's very nice to have you here.
Thank you, it's so exciting to be with you. Thank you very much.
Well, I want to start this interview with a declaration of love, Madeleine. We from Eldorado Radio are big fans of your work. We play songs from all of your albums since Dreamland. Did you know that you were so loved here?
No.
No?
Thank you so much. No, I'm not familiar with the radio in Brazil.
I think the kind of music that you do is our style of radio, you know.
That's so unusual.
Yeah, it's unusual. Eldorado is unusual radio too. Well, you've been to Porto Alegre, Curitiba, and São Paulo this weekend. How was the beginning of this tour?
Great. We had a great time in Porto Alegre. It was raining, so we did a song about falling in love in the rain.
Wow.
And Curitiba was also very, very special. And São Paulo was one of my favorite shows of all time that we just played on Saturday night.
Good to know.
Great audience. The public was amazing.
Unfortunately, I couldn't be there, but my boss here was there, and I heard that you played a Brazilian song, Água de Beber.
Yeah. Just
and
one.
How was it? How the audience?
The audience sang the entire time with me. They were with me. And it was very, very warm and sort of group experience, like we were all together.
And do you think that there's a possibility to put some Brazilian song at your repertoire someday?
Absolutely. Yes.
At this album, you have a bossa nova jazz song, right?
We took a very old song written by Harold Arlen called Last Night When We Were Young. And we arranged it with a bossa, sort of pseudo bossa-inspired arrangement. Yeah.
And Anthem is the 9th album of your career, and this time your choices have lyrics with political themes. Why did you bring this subject to this album?
I couldn't imagine not talking about what feels like is everywhere. It's in the air. It's in every environment. For me, in 2016 and 17, when I was in Brazil as well, but also in the United States in 2016, I was playing concerts for people, and it felt like the songs were not able to address what was the elephant in the room, like the most obvious thing, which was we were all worried about the election, and we were worried about our political situation because people are having a very difficult time trying to make a life in a country in America it's one of the richest countries and definitely supposed to be the most powerful country, and why can't we figure this out? So I was playing shows and concerts and feeling like the songs are not talking about what's really important, what we should talk about. And so I started to take the songs I already do. And I had a very old song called I Ain't Got Nobody, Nobody Cares for Me, right? And we were doing that. And I said, okay, I'm going to dedicate this song to all the people that don't have representation in the government. And in America, I did it, and then we go, I ain't got nobody, right? And the audience would laugh. But in Rio in 2017, they didn't laugh. They just went, fora teme, fora. Or, so people were angry, and I was very, I think, how can you not
talk
be
about
part
this?
of it? Yes, how can
because
you not?
It's not just in the United States or Brazil, it's around the world.
It does feel like it's a movement, but I don't think it's a collective movement. I think, things are happening for various reasons. I think in England, and America. Well, I don't know.
Yes.
There are a lot of things to talk about, but for me, I think what I like to talk about is what we know to be true as a group is that we're suffering, and if we focus on the right things and we work together, we can figure it out. So I'm trying to be part of.
And if you are an artist, it's good to talk about this to more and more people hear what you think.
Well, it's not what I think that matters as an artist, but it is being able to be part of the solution. And in this case, it's the fact that music brings people together, and when people get together, they solve problems.
Yeah. So, how was the process to create the repertoire? You were in 2016. Elections and Trump.
Right.
So that was
there was that
mind.
was in my mind, and also the fact that you can't make a living in this in America, and you don't have health care. We have a lot of issues that I feel touch everybody every day, and so I was already thinking about talking about those, and then so we were writing the songs already, and then Trump was elected. And then we had to write the rest of the songs. And so the tone of the record switched a little bit and got a little bit darker. Thank goodness for Leonard Cohen and Larry Klein, who suggested that I learn the song Anthem, because Leonard Cohen wrote this song, which is so positive, even though it's talking about politics and it's talking about governments that don't do what they're supposed to do, and how you, as a person, you lose faith. But it talks about okay, there is hope. And so I needed that, yeah. And so I really wanted to do that, and I hope everybody can feel that hope from it.
And as you said, the song 18 is written by Leonard Cohen, and it's not the first time that you record his songs. And talk about your influences, please.
Well, I started out as a child. My father was a very talented guy in the theater and maybe in literature and things like that. He was a teacher, and my mother was a teacher, and she was talented in language. But my father couldn't sing, and he couldn't play a musical instrument. So the only time when my father would just shut up and listen to somebody, I don't mean he talked all the time. I mean when he would stop controlling life at home, was when my mother and I would sit with our little ukuleles, our little cavaquinhos, and sing together. And it was the happiest memory. And I would do that with her. And my father he would play records, and he played a lot of records, and they were Hank Williams from New Orleans, Fats Waller, Fats Domino, Louis Armstrong, early jazz, early rock and roll, folk, Peter, Paul and Mary, Jim Croce, Bob Dylan, Janis Joplin, but eclectic group of music. But I think my influences were the records that he played and my mother singing with me.
And they both were teachers, but you quit school when you were 15, right?
Yeah.
What happened? You started to play in streets of Paris. Tell us the story.
Well, my mother was so talented in languages that she was hired to work in Paris at a bank that was in New York. So when I was 12 years old, she took me and my brother to live in Paris. And we didn't live in the city right away, but eventually we moved in the city of Paris. And on the first night, I said, I want to go out and see. Somebody told me that there's street musicians I want to see, because I want to learn to play guitar. And we don't have lessons, and I want to see what they're doing. So I go and walking around, and the first night I see a group playing that's really kind of weird and cool. like not what you would see anywhere else. Like they're all wearing different kind of hats, and the sound is weird. There's no drums, but they have a washtub bass, so it sounds like boom, like sounds like a trash can. And so I didn't talk to them right away, but I thought, I want to see what else is happening up here. And so I went there, and I spent the whole summer with my guitar hanging in this neighborhood to watch the musicians playing. And eventually I heard them singing, and I sang with some of them.
So for a while you were homeless, can I say it?
Vagabond.
Vagabond. Very nice. And what did you learn from this time?
You learn a lot of things. One of the things is just that you can create life. That there's a lot more freedom than you think available to you. You're so caught up in this habit of this is how you do it, and this is what we do, and this is how we do things, that you don't realize that you don't have to do things like that. Like if you're a street musician, you don't have to have a bank account. You don't have to have a car. Well, of course, in a big city, we know that you don't have to. Well, maybe Sao Paulo, you do have to have a car.
Depends on the neighborhood.
Yeah, right. But you don't have to do what society tells you have to do. Now, that's the extreme. Maybe you want to have those things, and that's fair. But knowing that you don't have to is more important than not knowing it, I think, because it's like being able to be a street musician is not the same as being a musician, because like I can always just survive. If I need to, I can figure something out. And a lot of people don't have that. And that changes everything, because then when you stand up and you sing a song for people, all you have to give is your own life and your own understanding. And so I think that that's an interesting perspective. So,
do you still keep in touch with these musicians?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And play together?
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, very nice. Now I'm going to ask you a question that I know you must have answered a lot of times. How do you feel when people compare you with Billie Holiday? Yeah. Billie Holiday.
No, I because you said you've been asked this 100 times. And I thought, what else could it be? It's definitely a huge compliment, and that will never change. And what else can I tell you? Agree. That's different. Sometimes, yeah. But I know that I've been singing different ways for a long, long time. I want to borrow from Billie, but I don't want to take and keep her sound. I want to have my own sound.
Okay. Yeah. And what kind of music, what songs do you listen to at home or at your mobile phone?
Well, the truth is that the only thing on my phone is my vocal exercises, because I don't.
Don't you put
your
phone? I
don't listen so much on my phone, but I listen to I don't know, everything. I just went blank.
Another styles like funk music, I don't know, soul. This album you bring
actually country music. The other day, a friend of mine said he quoted an old country song that I had never heard before. He said, "This is my first glass today." He was talking about drinking away his sorrows. I thought, I never heard that one before. But I like to listen to everything, and discover new things all the time.
As you did with Brazilian songs, right?
Yeah, for a while there, I was really like, anytime I could find the Tropicalia songs and I could really focus on them, I got very excited. And then I was really obsessed with Tom Zé for a minute with his record, the study of the school of samba, and that was really fascinating. But then I of course I've Elis and Tom. That record with Elis Regina and Tom Jobim is like one of the best records of all time. But I'm constantly just discovering, and I'm always ignorant. Yeah.
It's good to have this curiosity about things because you're always learning something, right?
I hope so. It's a good way to stay young.
Yes. You talked about the exercise to your voice, and there was a time in your life that you had vocal problems. How did you deal with this trouble? I imagine it was terrible.
Yeah, it's a little bit existential because you think, boy, I just thought everything was going to be fine, and now I don't have the one thing well, you don't have something I thought I was always going to have. My voice was gone. But I was very lucky because it came back. I worked on it, and I also learned that there is something you can do to solve this problem. That human beings are really resilient, and most of the time we get better and we get stronger.
And nowadays you take care of your voice.
Yeah.
What do you do before a big concert, for example?
At least 1 hour, probably 2 hours if it's a big concert. Warming up, running exercises, sometimes singing songs, but in different ways, like sing a whole song with no consonants.
And after the show, silence or not?
Beer.
Beer.
Yeah.
It's a good way to treat the voice, right?
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, after the show, don't start yelling in a club about tell your life story because it hurts your voice. Yeah.
Good.
And it's also annoying to people.
We talked that you were singing in the streets, and at this time, would you imagine that you would play for a big audience in expensive jazz houses, for example?
No, never.
Never? What did you imagine
when I was
for the
playing on
future?
the street? No, I didn't. No, I didn't see any of this.
What were your dreams?
To go back to school after, when I felt like it.
And how is your relationship with your family now?
Good. Yes, my mother suffered because of me. I was a bad teenager, but it's been long enough that I've been making it up to her now, and she's proud of my job.
Good. And almost all your songs you sing in English, but you sing in French too because of this time that you lived in Paris. How do you feel singing in French?
Well, singing in French is not so unusual for me because I was 12 when I moved to France and I started speaking French all the time. So it's kind of a bilingual thing. There's a lot of French slang that I don't understand. So there's some songs I cannot understand when I'm looking for a song to sing. I say, I don't really know what this means, So I sing more of the classic words, rather than songs that have really funny, weird swearing terms and stuff like that. But it's a very poetic experience. It means a lot to be able to feel the poetry in the original language. There's no way to sing La Vie en Rose in English for it to sound good, Life in Pink just doesn't sound the same.
Yes. Can you sing Liberté from this album?
It's really hard to do that.
Really?
I don't have it. I can sing.
La Vie en Rose, just a little bit of. Please.
Okay. Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, me l'a juré pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat.
Amazing. Merci beaucoup. So, can I ask you another one?
Okay.
From this album, Anthem. We are talking about On My Own, but maybe you can choose another one, On My Heroes, right?
Yeah. Do you prefer one or the other?
You are the boss.
Okay. Well, you want On My Own. You said it. I'm trying to give you what you want. Okay.
Okay.
Come to, the day is new. Hit the floor, crack the door. And what do I see? Strange kid standing there. Who is that in the mirror? And could it be me? Someone opens the bedroom door. Somebody wanders the hall. Someone's crossing my kitchen floor. Or wasn't there somebody I loved who lived here before? So what am I missing here? Something has disappeared, 'cause I'm all alone. Just like a bird that's flown into the great unknown on my own. Should we stop?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. During the shows of this tour, you play alone with your guitar too.
Uh-huh.
And tell me about this moment and how the audience see you doing on your own.
Well, I find that I'm by myself with my guitar. It's a good thing and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's never going to sound like a band. It's never going to have all of the beautiful colors and all of the correct chords and all of the perfect things that the musicians can do. But it allows me to introduce myself and make sure that people in the audience know how grateful I am that they're there, because I have specific songs for those moments, songs where I can just try to treat this as a conversation with the audience, where I tell them, look, this is who I am, and through the songs, through the music. And thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for the time that you spent here. Can you send a message to your Eldorado Radio fans?
Okay. Hola, tudo bem? This is Madeleine Peyroux, and I'm so happy to be on Eldorado Radio, and I hope that the public is happy too. Wish you all the best. No, that didn't sound good at the end.
No, it's perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.